The creative industry has been the most revolutionary industry in the world. It's existed for centuries, with the modern version being creating content. People from all over are using their creative skills to change their lives. Businesses using creative marketing to dominate their industry, and companies using creative psychology to change the culture of the world. Today, we're taking a look into the 3 levels of creative branding and how it's had an impact on our era. Starting with a kid from a small town in Connecticut who used Fortnite as a platform to build a huge online brand. A college kid working from his garage who changed the game of business by accidentally discovering influencer marketing. And even the historic racer who used the creative psychology of his time to create the most exclusive and desirable brand in the world. We are taking a look into how these 3 each played a part into shaping the creative industry into what it is today, and how you can be a part of it to build a brand of your very own as well. Clix. A kid that made a deal with his dad to get a $1,000 PC turned into a multi-million-dollar empire. I'm talking brand deals, companies, and big name events pulling in 7 figures a year. But what's even crazier is the grind it took to get there. Because before the big name fame he has today, he was focused on becoming the best at one thing, Fortnite. But he couldn't compete how he wanted to on the laggy computer he had. So he did what everyone else does before their success. He took a risk. He signed a contract with his dad to buy him a $1,000 gaming PC capable of handling Fortnite at the same level as other pros, with the promise of paying him back in 4 months, or he had to quit the gaming dream forever. It was time for Clix to put his money where his mouth was and actually compete in wagers and box fight tournaments. And he dominated. He successfully paid his dad back in just 14 days. It was at this point they both knew he had something real. And this was about to get even crazier. Because the biggest gaming event the world has ever seen was coming up in just a few months with millions on the line. But Clix didn't back down. At just 14 years old, he qualified for the Fortnite World Cup, flew out to New York and won $175,000. This cemented him as a real competitor in the pro scene, and this was also when his brand really started picking up. But not before something interesting happening that will completely change the direction of his brand. In 2021, Fortnite officially banned cash wagers, the very thing that got Clix's name into the online space. And while it seemed like a bad thing for him at the time, this caused a chain reaction of events that brought him his success today. Here's what I mean. He began pivoting to massive entertainment streams that averaged 20,000 viewers. This was the exact switch he needed to elevate his brand beyond just Fortnite, and this is far more crucial than you might realize. Fortnite was having periods of time where the game was simply falling off.
This game is so trash.
It'd have a good season here and there, but when the game was having an off season, so were the creators in that space. Clix switching to a variation of Fortnite and IRL streams allowed his brand to thrive. And this is when he gets access to the brand deals, companies, and pro events that made his 7-figure empire. He used his brand to launch his own heavily sought after clothing line, co-founded a red-hot physical collectibles brand, and established Clix Creative, a game development studio designing maps for Fortnite's professional league. He recently hired his first corporate CEO to manage his sprawling media and production companies. This allowed him to transition from the 14-year-old Fortnite pro to a brand executive. In the background, he's been building the skill of creative brand building with high-end collaborations, super entertaining streams, and a collection of YouTube and Instagram posts growing his empire while he sleeps. Clix's story is a result of a kid who took a risk on himself, made the right decisions and pivots, and worked harder than anyone else around him. His brand was built on every kid's dream. But our next person, well, he changed the entire business game. Meet Ben Francis, the billion-dollar fitness brand owner who started sewing clothes together in his parents' garage at 19 years old. He's the founder of Gymshark. You've probably seen that name pop up somewhere on the internet because honestly it felt inevitable. Similar to Clix, Ben grew up in a middle-class family in a small town just outside Birmingham. So how on earth did this kid go from delivering pizzas for cash to drinking luxury champagne on a yacht? To answer that question, we need to go back to when he was just a broke university student in the UK. Ben had a strong obsession with fitness. After his pro soccer dreams failed, he knew he wanted to do something insane in the fitness industry. Before the billion-dollar brand we know today, Ben had actually tried and failed many times on his entrepreneurial journey. After he'd get home from delivering pizzas, he'd build many fitness apps. But after his fourth failure, he could have easily packed up this dream and called it a day. But he knew he could never give up this passion because of something I forgot to mention. During his high school years, he never excelled academically. That was until he got introduced to the gym. It taught him the work ethic and consistency needed to achieve success, making him an A+ student. But this wasn't school anymore. This was the real thing. He decided to take one final risk. So he founded Gymshark, but it wasn't the billion-dollar clothing line we know today. It was actually a drop-shipping supplement site, and that isn't even the craziest part. It took him 6 weeks before he got his first sale. This looked like it was completely over. That was until Ben had a genius realization that was going to completely transform his life. See, he didn't like how gym clothes fit. They were either too baggy or they were high-end gear from Nike that hid an aesthetic physique. So Ben decided he would change the fitness industry entirely. He took $500 he earned from delivering pizzas and bought a sewing machine and a screen printer to set up shop in his garage. But this was not going to be easy. Over the course of the next 2 years, he grinded every single day, spending his nights hand-stitching stinger vests and printing logos one by one. But it gets even crazier. Ben was about to take a risk so insane, it would either leave his company completely bankrupt or change the entire game of business. In 2013, he emptied Gymshark's entire bank account to rent a single floor booth at the biggest fitness expo in the UK. If he didn't sell anything, the company was broke. But instead of relying on normal ads, Ben did something that had never been done before. He took his best handmade tracksuits and shipped them for free to the fitness YouTubers he looked up to online. He didn't ask for a review, nor did he pay them a dime. Yet this caused a massive psychological reaction. The creators loved the gear so much, they wore it straight to the expo. When the doors opened, thousands of fans bypassed the multi-million-dollar corporate booths. They flooded straight to the Gymshark garage booth to see their favorite creators. Ben sold out his entire inventory in just 30 minutes. His website did $30,000 in sales in a single day, after averaging just $40 a day before the event. Ben had just accidentally invented modern influencer marketing. By 2020, a private equity firm bought a piece of the company, officially valuing Gymshark at $1.45 billion. Ben went from a teenager sewing in a garage to a billionaire executive. He built an empire by spotting a gap in the market, taking a massive financial risk, and having the humility to step aside to let his brand grow. But what if your brand could grow online without you having to risk your entire company? ForgeOS could help with that. This is a system that handles all creative marketing for founders and entrepreneurs. We take care of the online brand building so you can continue working on your business. We are actually opening up applications for this new operating system today. If that sounds of interest to you, you can sign up for free with the first link in the description. We are giving heavy discounts to every applicant who signs up with the link under Forge Originals videos. If you have a business, you want a brand online, go check it out for free. While Ben mastered the art of creative marketing, our next person took creative psychology to a dangerous extreme. He didn't care about community. He didn't even care about his customers. And he actively despised the people buying his products. Meet Enzo Ferrari, the multi-billion-dollar car brand owner who didn't even care about selling cars. He only cared about one thing: racing. In fact, Enzo actively despised the people who bought his luxury street vehicles. He didn't view them as customers. He viewed them as walking wallets meant to fund his Formula One race team. But his absolute disdain for commercial success caused a massive psychological reaction in the market. The more he rejected the public, the more exclusive his cars became. He accidentally pioneered a strategy that modern luxury brand owners spend millions trying to replicate: artificial scarcity. If you wanted to buy a Ferrari, You couldn't just walk into a dealership with a bag of cash. You had to practically beg Enzo for the privilege to buy one. He created a multi-billion-dollar empire by making his brand a club that money alone couldn't buy. But before he built the most desirable brand in human history, he was just a frustrated mechanic with a dream of driving fast. To understand how he flipped the entire automotive industry on its head, we have to go back to the war-torn streets of 1940s Italy. It was the middle of World War II. Enzo had just quit his job managing Alfa Romeo's legendary race team. He wanted total control over his vision, but corporate executives kept getting in his way. So he walked out, but Alfa Romeo forced him to sign a brutal non-compete clause. He was legally banned from building or racing cars under the name Ferrari for 4 straight years. And then things got much worse. World War II completely tore through Europe. The Italian government took over his small factory in Modena, forcing him to manufacture military aircraft parts instead of race cars. But it gets even crazier, because then the Allied bombs dropped. His factory was completely leveled, reduced to rubble. It looked like the dream was over before it even had a name. But a common theme with Enzo is that he was one stubborn mother, and he took the ultimate risk. He packed up what was left, moved his entire operation to a small town called Maranello, and rebuilt the factory from scratch. He used those brutal war years to completely master precision engineering, waiting out his non-compete clause in absolute silence. And in 1947, the war was over. The legendary Ferrari 125S rolled out the factory doors. It was the very first car to carry his name. It featured a screaming V12 engine built entirely for speed and victory. But dominating the racing world is insanely expensive. By 1950, Enzo was running out of cash to pay for tires, fuel, and engine parts for his Formula One team. He was facing absolute bankruptcy, so he was forced into a massive pivot. He had to start manufacturing and selling street-legal versions of his race cars to the public just to survive. But remember, he hated these customers. He didn't view them as fans. He viewed them as a necessary evil to pay for his track addiction. And this is where his accidental genius in creative psychology changed the world. Instead of trying to sell as many cars as possible like Ford or Chevy, Enzo created a rule that defines luxury branding to this day. Always deliver one less car than the market demands. He weaponized ego. He realized that the ultra wealthy hate being told no. By keeping production incredibly low, a Ferrari wasn't just a fast car anymore. It became the ultimate symbol of social status. Hollywood stars and European royalty would practically beg Enzo for the privilege to buy a vehicle. The rejection was the marketing. Enzo proved that when you build an untouchable identity, the world will chase you. By 1963, his creative branding was so powerful that Henry Ford II offered him $16 million to buy the company. Enzo was in financial trouble yet again, and the massive payday was right on the table. But during the final meeting, Enzo noticed a tiny clause in the contract. Ford wanted final control over his racing budget. Enzo flew into a rage, crossed out the clause in purple ink, cursed out the executives, and walked out on millions. He chose his artistic passion over corporate billions. And that exact defiance turned Ferrari into a legendary, untouchable brand. Enzo passed away, but his creative psychology lives on. Today, Ferrari is worth over $50 billion, and you still have to be hand-selected by the company just to buy their top-tier models. So, what does all of this mean for you? Look at the progression of the creative industry. Level 1 is Clix, using a digital platform to build a hyper-engaged audience and flipping that attention into direct revenue. Level 2 is Ben Francis, taking that creator energy, bypassing traditional retail, and scaling a billion-dollar empire through influencer community. And level 3 is Enzo Ferrari, being so unapologetically authentic to your vision that the entire global culture changes just to keep up with you. The creative industry isn't just about making content anymore. It's about mastering attention, leveraging psychology, and building a brand asset that works while you sleep. The blueprints are right in front of you. The only question left is, what level are you going to start building today? Thank you so much for watching, and remember, if you are a founder or business owner looking to build a brand as powerful as Ferrari, check out the first link in the description. Like this video and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and click here to watch more videos from us. Thank you.